The day the stars fell silent was the day humanity learned just how unprepared the universe was for Earth. For years, Earth had been a small, seemingly insignificant planet, ignored by the greater galactic community. Other civilizations had long believed that Earth was a backwater, an isolated world without much to offer. The people on Earth were still struggling with their own issues, wars, poverty, and the effects of their own mistakes. But no one ever imagined the true strength of their military was hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment. It all started with a mysterious signal. It was weak at first, just a faint echo from space, almost like a whisper in the darkness. A small team of scientists at Earth's space agency intercepted it, dismissing it as just another cosmic anomaly. However, this whisper was different. It wasn't natural. It had structure, pattern, and purpose, something no random signal from space could create. When the team analyzed it further, they were shocked. It was a message, one that came from far beyond their solar system. A warning. The warning spoke of a massive invasion, a fleet of warships that would soon arrive at Earth. The message was simple and terrifying. The galaxy had been watching Earth for a long time. They had waited for the right moment to invade. The time was now. The scientists were horrified. They tried to alert Earth's leaders, but they were met with skepticism. Earth's military had always been underestimated, and many thought the threat was a false alarm. After all, Earth had no real spacefaring capabilities compared to the great powers of the galaxy. How could such an insignificant planet possibly be a target for an alien invasion? But as the days passed, the warning began to make sense. The mysterious signal wasn't just a warning. It was also a countdown. A date was embedded in the signal, and that date was fast approaching. Earth had no time to waste. The government scrambled to assemble a response, but they knew it would take time. The military was not prepared for such an event. They had never even thought about an alien invasion. They were still focused on conflicts within their own borders. That was when Earth's top military leaders began to remember something they had been keeping hidden for decades, a secret so big it had been buried in the deepest levels of Earth's military. Unknown to most, Earth had been secretly preparing for this very moment for centuries. The true strength of Earth's military wasn't just in their numbers or their weapons. It was in something much deeper. Over the years, Earth's leaders had made contact with alien species, but they never made it public. The encounters were brief, and the alien species were not interested in trade or alliances. They had made it clear that they saw Earth's military potential, but they didn't want to reveal it to the galaxy. Earth's power was too dangerous to be exposed. Earth's military had been trained for something much larger than anything humanity had ever faced. But why? What could be so important that Earth's leaders had to hide it from the rest of the galaxy? The secret was simple but terrifying. Earth's military had access to ancient technology, alien technology that had been gifted to them by a long-forgotten race. This technology was unlike anything in the universe. It allowed Earth's military to build unimaginable weapons, space fleets, and defense systems. They were not just a simple planet caught in a crossfire of galactic politics. They were a hidden power, and they had been trained to defend not just Earth, but the entire galaxy from a threat that no one had anticipated. The truth was that the galaxy wasn't unaware of Earth. They had been watching for centuries. Earth's military was never meant to conquer, but to protect. But how could a planet, with no intergalactic presence, be chosen to bear such a heavy burden? The answer lay in the deep, secretive history of humanity's true purpose, something that would soon be revealed. As the days passed, the government finally began to act on the warning. The old military bases, some abandoned for years, were reactivated. Personnel who had long been out of service were called back. Earth's military might, which had been lying dormant for so long, began to rise. This wasn't a random activation. It was by design. The time had come for Earth to fulfill its true mission. The alien fleet that was on its way had no idea what they were about to face. They believed that Earth was weak, just a small dot on the galactic map. They believed that taking over Earth would be easy. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. As Earth's defenses were put into motion, the first signs of an alien fleet appeared. Ships, massive and intimidating, began to arrive at the outskirts of the solar system. The inhabitants of Earth could only watch in awe and fear as the ships approached. However, the fear was quickly replaced by something else, a strange sense of readiness, as if something deep within humanity was awakening. The time had come. Earth's military, long hidden from the rest of the universe, was about to show its true power. But would it be enough? The unknown alien invaders were on their way, and Earth had no choice but to fight back with everything they had. The countdown was nearing its end, and humanity was about to face the biggest test it had ever known. Would the secret power of Earth's military be enough to defend the planet, or had the time for secrets run out? The universe was about to find out. As the alien fleet neared Earth's orbit, the true magnitude of humanity's hidden power began to unfold. For decades, Earth had quietly been preparing for something that no one outside of its military leaders knew about. The world's governments had done their best to keep the secret hidden, believing that humanity's true strength could never be revealed until the moment was right. That moment was now. The world's military forces had long been underestimated. Many considered Earth's weaponry primitive compared to the advanced technology of galactic powers. But what they didn't know was that Earth had not only kept its military advancements under wraps, but it had also been working on projects involving ancient alien technologies for decades. The world had no idea what was coming, but the leaders of Earth had been waiting for this day, preparing in silence, knowing that it would one day come. The first signs of the alien fleet's arrival had triggered an automatic response from Earth's hidden defense systems. Across the globe, long-forgotten underground bunkers and abandoned military sites were suddenly alive again. Military personnel who had long retired were called back into service. The soldiers, pilots, engineers, and strategists all knew the stakes. They had trained for this moment, and they knew they were the last line of defense for humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy. In the midst of all this, the rest of the world was still in disbelief. The news reports were filled with speculation, and panic spread across the planet. Most people still couldn't believe that Earth was actually facing an invasion. They thought it was just a mistake, some kind of miscommunication. But those who knew better, the military leaders, the scientists, the old veterans, understood that Earth's survival depended on the actions they took in the next few days. Deep in the command centers, where Earth's true military strategy had been devised, the soldiers and officers knew that this would be no ordinary battle. They had been trained in ways that few understood. Humanity had been molded not for domination, but for defense. They were the silent protectors of the galaxy, chosen to safeguard the universe from unimaginable threats. It was a responsibility that weighed heavily on those who carried it, but they were ready. And yet, despite the preparations, there was still one question that loomed over all of them. Why had Earth been chosen? Why had humanity, a species that had only recently made its first steps into space, been selected to guard the galaxy against greater dangers? What did they possess that made them different from the other races of the universe? The answer, it seemed, lay within Earth's history, a history that was long buried beneath the layers of time. For centuries, Earth's leaders had kept the truth hidden from the public eye, fearing the consequences of revealing their knowledge. But now, the truth had to come out. Earth's true purpose was greater than anyone could have imagined. As the alien fleet approached, Earth's military forces activated their hidden technologies. Massive ships, concealed in orbit and cloaked by advanced stealth systems, began to power up. These were not the ordinary ships humanity had shown the galaxy. They were far more advanced, equipped with weapons and shields that could match or exceed anything the alien fleet had in their arsenal. But the real strength was not in the ships or the technology. It was in the minds of the people who had prepared for this moment. While most of Earth's population was unaware of the scale of the impending invasion, a small group of military commanders and strategists knew that the fate of the entire galaxy rested on their shoulders. They had been trained not just in combat, but in strategy, in the art of protecting what was important. And Earth was important. It was at this moment that the world learned of a special program, a top-secret operation known only to a select few. This program had been running for decades and was designed to train humanity's finest warriors in the art of galactic defense. These warriors were not just soldiers. They were the protectors, the silent defenders who would ensure that the galaxy's darkest threats would never reach Earth. As the alien fleet drew closer, the commanders deployed Earth's first line of defense. The first wave of humanity's advanced warships emerged from the shadows, massive ships that dwarfed anything the invaders had ever seen. But these ships didn't just rely on firepower. They were equipped with cloaking systems, advanced energy shields, and propulsion technology that made them nearly invisible to the invaders. As the fleets faced off in the cold silence of space, Earth's military began its strategy. It was not about overwhelming firepower. It was about precision, strategy, and stealth. The alien fleet, massive as it was, had no idea what was coming. They believed they were about to engage a primitive species, an easy conquest. They had no idea that they were facing a military force that had been waiting for this moment for centuries. As Earth's forces moved into position, the first clash occurred. The alien ships, once so confident in their superiority, suddenly found themselves under attack by forces they hadn't expected. Energy weapons struck their ships with deadly accuracy, while stealth fighters darted in and out of the fray, hitting targets with surgical precision. The invaders tried to retaliate, but they found that their own technology was being outclassed at every turn. Back on Earth, the world watched in awe as the battle unfolded. News outlets struggled to keep up with the rapidly changing situation. But those who had been trained in the old ways knew that this was only the beginning. Earth's military had always been prepared for this moment, and now it was up to them to protect humanity's future. As the battle continued in the void of space, the military commanders, who had long kept their secrets hidden, knew the truth. Earth was never meant to be conquered. It was meant to be the galaxy's last line of defense. And now, the rest of the universe was about to find out just how powerful Earth truly was. The battle had begun, but the war was far from over. As the alien fleet engaged Earth's hidden defenses, the world watched in awe, glued to their screens. The sudden arrival of alien ships had been enough to send panic through humanity. But now, the tide was turning. Earth's military might, long kept in the shadows, was proving to be far more advanced than anyone had imagined. However, the aliens were relentless, and Earth's forces were facing challenges that would test their true strength. The alien fleet had underestimated the ingenuity of humanity. They had come with the belief that Earth would be an easy target, a species just beginning to stretch its wings into the stars. But they had not accounted for the incredible depth of Earth's secret preparations. The alien ships, though massive, lacked the versatility and strategic flexibility of the Earth-made vessels. Earth's ships were not just about raw power. They were designed for adaptability. They were built to respond to threats in ways the invaders couldn't anticipate. It wasn't just about firepower. Earth's military had been trained to understand the galaxy's threats from every angle. Over the years, they had studied not only advanced weaponry, but also alien tactics, psychology, and weaknesses. Humanity knew that this battle would be a test of endurance, of patience. The aliens believed they could overwhelm Earth with sheer numbers, but they had no idea that Earth's soldiers had been trained to outblast, to outsmart, and to turn the tables when victory seemed impossible. As Earth's warships deployed, Earth's secret weapons were activated. Unlike anything the aliens had seen, massive energy shields enveloped the ships, making them impervious to the alien fleet's weapons. With these shields, Earth's ships could charge headlong into the alien forces without fear of their weapons. Yet Earth's military knew that brute strength alone wouldn't win this battle. The aliens, though technologically advanced, had a major flaw. Their reliance on raw firepower had left them vulnerable to precise, tactical strikes. The alien ship's shields were designed for blunt force, but they lacked the ability to adapt to subtle strategic hits. Humanity, with its centuries of military experience and its unparalleled ability to think outside the box, used this to its advantage. Space battles erupted across the vast reaches of space. In the first wave of attacks, Earth's fleet took out several alien ships with precision strikes, taking advantage of weak points in their armor. The aliens, startled by the unexpected effectiveness of Earth's military, quickly regrouped. But Earth's forces had already learned their tactics and anticipated their every move. They had been preparing for this for decades, gathering intelligence on possible threats from across the galaxy. Back on Earth, the world was in a state of collective shock. Nations that had once been divided by borders and ideologies were now united in the face of a common enemy. Governments and military leaders who had never once shared information now had to work together, pooling their resources to protect their home. It was a unified front the alien forces had never seen before. The alien invaders were used to conquering planets with weak or divided governments, but Earth's unity in this crisis proved to be a powerful weapon in itself. But the aliens weren't backing down. As the conflict raged on, they launched wave after wave of attacks, each one more brutal than the last. Their tactics grew more desperate, and Earth's military began to feel the strain. The fighting was relentless, but it was not just about winning the battle. It was about ensuring humanity's survival. Every strike, every maneuver was about securing a future for those on Earth and the galaxy. The alien fleet was huge, and while Earth's military had the upper hand in the early stages, the aliens had a deep well of resources they could tap into. The battle began to take its toll, and Earth's forces, though strong, were stretched thin. The sheer size of the alien fleet, combined with their overwhelming numbers, began to make the odds look grim. But humanity's true strength lay not just in its technology or its military. It was in the unbreakable will of its people. Soldiers, civilians, and leaders alike shared a bond that made them stronger than any fleet of invaders. They knew what was at stake, not just their home, but the very survival of the galaxy itself. Earth had been chosen for a reason, and that reason was clear now. They were the protectors of the universe, the ones entrusted with standing against the darkness. As the battle reached its peak, the world's military commanders knew that the time had come for their final gambit. It was a move that had been carefully planned for years, a strategy that would use Earth's greatest asset, its people, to turn the tide. The alien forces, growing increasingly frustrated, had no idea what was about to hit them. Humanity had been holding back, testing their strength, and now the final weapon would be revealed. The world was holding its breath. On Earth's surface, the leaders gave the signal. The final phase of the battle was about to begin. Earth's forces, spread across space, aligned their ships in a final formation. It was a maneuver that would change the course of the war, but it would come at a great cost. They were prepared to risk everything to ensure that humanity and the galaxy would remain safe. And so, with a final push, Earth's military launched its most dangerous and effective weapon, a weapon not just of firepower, but of will. The battle was far from over, but the galaxy was about to learn the true strength of humanity's military, and why they had been entrusted with the duty to protect it all. The alien fleet, though massive and seemingly unstoppable, began to falter. The unexpected maneuvers from Earth's forces had caught them off guard, but that was only the beginning. Earth's final gambit, a plan long hidden in the shadows, was now set into motion. The aliens were no longer fighting just against Earth's military. They were fighting against something far greater, humanity's resolve. As the battle continued, the alien ships grew increasingly erratic, their attempts to retaliate growing weaker. The secret weapon, the one humanity had kept hidden for so long, was now deployed in full force. This weapon wasn't just about advanced technology or superior weaponry. It was about humanity's spirit, something the alien invaders had failed to understand. For centuries, Earth's military had been gathering information not just about potential threats, but also about the most effective ways to defeat them. It was not just brute force that was needed to overcome this enemy, but the ability to think and adapt in ways the invaders could never have imagined. Humanity's greatest advantage lay in its creativity and its ability to unite in times of crisis. The alien forces had underestimated the power of human ingenuity. The aliens had believed their superior numbers and technology would be enough to conquer Earth, but they had never anticipated the kind of fight they were up against. Earth's forces didn't rely solely on their military might. They relied on the strength of their people, the unity of humanity, and the belief that they had a higher purpose in protecting the galaxy. For the first time in the battle, the alien fleet was not controlling the skies. Humanity's military, with its diverse forces and unmatched strategic thinking, had regained the upper hand. The alien ships began to retreat, their attacks slowing down as they struggled to deal with the unexpected strategies Earth had employed. Each new move by Earth's forces seemed to force the aliens into a corner, and they had no idea how to react. On Earth's surface, civilians could only watch in awe. They had no idea what was truly happening out there in space, but they sensed the change. Reports from space stations and military units trickled in, each one more hopeful than the last. The tide of the battle was shifting, and Earth's forces were beginning to push back. But Earth's military leaders knew better than to celebrate prematurely. The aliens might have been retreating, but they were not defeated yet. As Earth's forces tightened their grip on the battle, they began to launch a series of surprise counterattacks that would shift the balance of power entirely. The alien fleet, with its overwhelming numbers, had no answer to the precision and unpredictability of Earth's strikes. While the alien forces had focused on sheer force, Earth's military focused on strategy and tactics. It was the perfect counter to the aliens' brute strength. The alien fleet began to splinter, with multiple groups retreating and abandoning their missions as Earth's forces closed in. For the first time in the battle, the invaders began to fear that they might not win. The strategies they had used to defeat countless worlds were no match for Earth's unpredictable nature. Back on Earth, military commanders were busy coordinating with allies from across the globe. Information was exchanged rapidly, and new strategies were quickly implemented. The collaboration between nations, once seen as impossible, had proven to be a powerful force. It was a lesson the aliens would learn far too late, that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons, but in its unity. With each passing day, the alien fleet shrank, and Earth's forces grew more confident. They were pushing back the invaders, reclaiming ground that had once seemed lost. But the war was far from over. While the alien fleet retreated, they had not yet been defeated. Their commanders, though shaken, were still preparing for one final assault. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The leadership of Earth's military was now faced with an incredible challenge. How could they ensure this victory would last? The threat of the aliens was far from over, and the galaxy would need a new kind of protection. Earth had proven itself to be more than capable of standing its ground, but the galaxy needed more than just warriors. It needed guardians. The turning point had come, and Earth had made its stand. But now the real question was, could humanity ensure that this victory would lead to a lasting peace, or would the invaders regroup and return? The answers to these questions would define the future of the galaxy. As the battle raged on, the true nature of Earth's military strength became clear. It was not just about firepower or technology. It was about something much deeper. Humanity had shown the galaxy that it was not just capable of defending itself. It was capable of being the galaxy's true protectors. And no matter how strong the enemy, humanity would never back down from its mission. The turning point had arrived, but the war was far from over. Earth's military forces were ready for whatever came next, and the aliens would soon learn that they were facing something far more powerful than they had ever imagined. This was no longer just a battle for Earth. It was a fight for the survival of the galaxy itself. The alien fleet, once confident in its superiority, now found itself in disarray. Earth's unexpected strategies had taken them by surprise, and their forces were crumbling under the relentless pressure. The humans, however, were far from complacent. Despite their success, they knew the battle was not yet won. The alien commanders, fierce and determined, had retreated but not surrendered. They would regroup and fight back. Earth's forces had no illusions about the gravity of the situation. On Earth, military command centers were alive with activity. The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of anticipation and caution. The tide of the battle had turned, but a final strike was needed to end the war once and for all. Every officer, every soldier, every pilot knew that they had come too far to fail now. The enemy might be retreating, but it was only a matter of time before they launched one final, devastating assault. General Ryan Adams stood before the tactical map, his eyes scanning the positions of the remaining alien ships. He had seen the strength of Earth's forces in action, how they had adapted and evolved under pressure. But he knew that the final phase of the battle would require something far more than strategy. It would require a spirit of unity, a single-minded purpose that the aliens could never hope to understand. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, had never faced a species quite like humanity. Their forces, though numerous and technologically advanced, lacked the ability to think outside the box. They were rigid, predictable in their patterns, and the humans had exploited that weakness with precision. But now, the enemy was beginning to learn. They were adapting too. Across the galaxy, Earth's forces were prepared to launch a decisive blow. Ships lined up, ready for the final confrontation. The aliens had underestimated Earth's resilience, and now they would face the consequences. General Adams knew that this final strike had to be perfect. The key was not to engage the entire alien fleet at once. Earth's military had spent years developing the technology and tactics that would allow them to strike decisively, without wasting any of their forces. Every soldier, every pilot, and every ship had a role to play in this final battle. The first wave of the final assault began with a massive strike on the outer fringes of the alien fleet. Earth's forces had studied the alien tactics and knew that breaking their formations was the key to success. Ships appeared out of nowhere, hidden by stealth technology and precise calculations. The alien fleet was suddenly in chaos, unable to respond to the unexpected attack. Adams's voice rang out over the comms, rallying his troops. "Hold the line. Push them back with everything we've got. This ends now." And so, Earth's forces did what they had been trained to do: fight with everything they had. Every ship, every soldier, every piece of technology was now aligned for one singular purpose: to crush the alien invaders once and for all. The battle was ferocious. Laser fire illuminated the void of space as human ships darted in and out of enemy formations, striking with precision. The alien fleet, still reeling from the surprise attack, struggled to mount an organized defense. They tried to regroup, but Earth's forces were too swift. Each maneuver, each strike was calculated, a testament to the years of preparation and planning that had gone into Earth's defense. On the surface of Earth, people gathered around television screens and computers, watching the events unfold. They had witnessed the attacks, the struggles, and the desperation of the aliens. But now, they saw their forces pushing back, reclaiming the skies. The humans weren't just defending their planet. They were proving to the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. But just as it seemed like victory was within reach, the aliens launched their final counteroffensive. Their largest battleships, previously hidden in the backlines, emerged from the shadows, armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets in seconds. It was a last-ditch effort to save their mission and their forces. The human commanders, however, had anticipated this. The final phase of their plan was already in motion. Earth's forces didn't need to outgun the aliens. They needed to outthink them. As the massive alien ships approached, a series of trapdoors opened within Earth's fleet, releasing dozens of smaller, faster ships that zipped through the enemy lines. They were equipped with EMP weapons capable of disabling the alien ship systems. As the alien ships closed in, Earth's countermeasures took effect. The EMP blasts sent shockwaves through the alien fleet, disabling their weapons and rendering them helpless. The largest ships, once the most powerful in the galaxy, were now sitting ducks. General Adams's voice crackled over the comms once more. Now's our chance. Strike while they're vulnerable. Human forces surged forward, hitting the aliens with everything they had. The final confrontation had begun in earnest. As Earth's ships pierced through the alien defenses, one by one, the alien vessels began to fall. The tide of battle had turned irreversibly, and Earth's military had emerged victorious. But even as the last of the alien ships were destroyed, the commanders knew that the fight wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about proving a point. Earth's forces had demonstrated to the galaxy that humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. The universe had learned that Earth's military might wasn't just about firepower or numbers. It was about strategy, resilience, and a deep commitment to protect what was theirs. The final moments of the battle were filled with the haunting silence of the void. Earth had triumphed, but the cost had been high. The victory had been hard-won. And as the last remnants of the alien fleet scattered, humanity knew that they had not just saved their planet, but had earned their place as the guardians of the galaxy. The stars in the vast expanse of space seemed strangely quiet as Earth's military stood victorious. The last remnants of the alien fleet drifted, powerless and broken. The battle was over, but the cost of victory was not something easily measured. The human soldiers had faced down one of the greatest threats their world had ever seen, and now they were left to pick up the pieces. On Earth, the war had altered everything. The streets were silent, the skies calm. Cities that had once been bustling centers of life now carried an eerie stillness. The battle was over, but the scars it left behind would take years to heal. The governments of the world, once divided, now worked together in unity. The realization had set in. Humanity was not only fighting to protect their homes, but also the future of their species. General Adams stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the planet's surface below. The war had been won, but the true challenge lay ahead. Rebuilding, recovering, and ensuring that the horrors they had faced would never return. The aliens had been driven away, but the universe had seen what humanity was capable of. They would never again be underestimated. He walked to the center of the room, where a large holographic display of Earth's military operations hung before him. Ships still lingered in space, keeping watch over their home, their mission far from over. Earth's forces had to remain vigilant, for the galaxy had not forgotten the wrath they had unleashed. The enemies who had witnessed their power might return one day, but humanity would be ready. "Report," General Adams commanded, his voice firm, but weary. A voice crackled over the comms. "Sir, the final alien vessels have been neutralized. There are no remaining threats in the vicinity. However, the damage to the infrastructure of Earth's military is substantial. Recovery operations are underway." "Good." Adams nodded, but his mind raced. "What about the civilian casualties?" "Under control, sir," the voice continued. "While the enemy's assault took a toll on our cities, most of the population is safe. It will take time to rebuild, but we've already begun the process of restoring essential services." Adams stood still, absorbing the weight of the words. Lives had been lost, cities destroyed, and countless families torn apart. But it had been worth it. The battle for survival had tested humanity's limits, and they had come out on top. As the days passed, Earth began to recover. The military forces that had once fought fiercely for survival now worked alongside civilians to rebuild the planet. The world's greatest minds came together, developing new technologies and systems to ensure that such devastation would never happen again. Earth's defenses would remain a constant presence, not just to protect against potential invaders, but to send a message to the universe that humanity had a purpose far beyond simple survival. In the quiet aftermath of war, Humanity found a sense of purpose. Their place in the galaxy was no longer defined by fear or uncertainty. They were the guardians of their own world, and potentially, the galaxy itself. General Adams, along with leaders from all around the globe, met in a newly constructed global summit. The war had shown them that humanity could no longer afford to work in isolation. Their survival was tied to the strength and unity of every nation on Earth. We have shown the galaxy that we are not just survivors. We are protectors, Adams declared, his voice calm but full of conviction. We will not let the galaxy forget that Earth stands as a beacon of strength, unity, and resilience. We were never meant to dominate. We were meant to defend. The room was silent as the leaders absorbed his words. The future of humanity had changed forever. They would no longer be seen as primitive, weak, or vulnerable. The universe would know that humanity had the power to defend itself, and it would think twice before threatening their world again. As the summit drew to a close, the leaders returned to their nations, united in their new purpose. Earth had survived the greatest threat it had ever known, and it had emerged stronger for it. The next chapter of humanity's history had begun. They were no longer the underdogs. They were the protectors of their world, and they would stand vigilant, ready for whatever the future held. The scars of war would take time to heal, but the strength humanity had shown would not be easily forgotten. They had proved their worth, not just to themselves, but to the galaxy. And no matter what the future brought, humanity would always stand ready to defend the planet they called home. In the aftermath of the war, as Earth slowly rebuilt itself, there was a sense of unease in the air. The war was over, but humanity's true role in the universe was still in question. The alien forces that had threatened Earth had been repelled, but their sudden appearance had raised questions no one could ignore. Who had sent them? Were there more out there? And if so, what did they want? General Adams, now one of the leading figures in the post-war world, stood in front of a group of world leaders in the newly formed United Earth Council. They gathered in a massive circular hall, their faces a mix of relief and concern. The victory had been hard won, and though the war was over, the true battle had only just begun. The galaxy is watching us, Adams began, his voice strong but reflective. We've proven that we are more than capable of defending ourselves, but we must also prepare for the possibility that we are not alone in this universe. The war didn't come out of nowhere. Whoever sent those forces is still out there. A murmur rippled through the council. The questions were valid, and Adams was right. Earth had barely survived the initial attack. The alien forces had come at them with overwhelming power, and humanity had just managed to push them back, but not without significant cost. We must be ready, Adams continued. This military strength that we have built, it's not just for show. It's not for fear. It's for our protection. It's a message to any who would dare threaten Earth again. One of the council members, a leader from the Eastern Coalition, spoke up. But how do we know that this is the end? How do we know that they won't return? Adams paused, his gaze sweeping across the room. He knew the question was inevitable. We don't, he said, his voice steady. But what I do know is that Earth has proven something important. We are not just a planet of survivors. We are protectors, capable of defending ourselves from the greatest threats in the galaxy. He turned to the holographic display of Earth's new defense systems, showing ships in orbit, defensive satellites, and the newly established command centers spread across the globe. The sight was impressive, but it wasn't just the technology that had changed. The people of Earth had changed. They had faced a galaxy-threatening force and emerged victorious. We've also formed alliances, Adams added, referring to the informal partnerships with nearby star systems that had developed since the war. Other civilizations have witnessed our power, our resilience, and I believe that they now understand that humanity is not to be trifled with. The council members nodded in agreement. They had fought hard for this victory, and now they needed to ensure it would not be squandered. It wasn't just about defense, it was about diplomacy, leadership, and protecting humanity's place in the galaxy. But even as the leaders discussed the future, a small group of elite scientists and military strategists were working on something far more significant, something that had the potential to change the course of history forever. Deep in one of Earth's underground research facilities, a group of experts was analyzing data retrieved from the alien ships. While most of the battle had been fought on Earth, the wreckage from the alien fleet contained crucial information. The military had already begun to reverse engineer their technology, but there was something far more important buried within their systems: a message, a signal. The signal had been detected shortly after the alien ships were defeated. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a simple distress call, a last-ditch effort from the invaders to contact their homeworld. But upon closer inspection, the signal had a pattern, a rhythm that suggested something more deliberate. The military had kept it quiet for weeks, but now the researchers had decoded it. The message was clear: you were not supposed to survive. We will return. Adams, when informed of the message, felt a chill run down his spine. The victory, it seemed, was only a temporary respite. But Earth was not the same place it had been before. The military strength was more than just defensive now. It was a statement. Earth was ready, and the galaxy would know it. Back in the council hall, Adams addressed the leaders again. His tone was somber but resolute. The war may be over, but our watch has only just begun. We must prepare for the return of the threat. And this time, we will be ready. A silence filled the room as the leaders absorbed the gravity of his words. It wasn't just about defense anymore. It was about understanding that humanity's role in the galaxy had shifted. They were no longer just a species trying to survive. They were now protectors, ready to defend their world from any force that might seek to challenge them. The future was uncertain, and the threat of alien invasion still loomed on the horizon. But for the first time in history, humanity stood united, strong, and ready for whatever came next. The next chapter of their story had already begun. The war had been won, but the true battle, to protect Earth and secure humanity's place in the galaxy, had only just begun. And humanity would face it with strength, courage, and the unwavering belief that they were more than just survivors. They were the guardians of their world.